Welcome to Greek for a Week. I am so glad that you are here for another week of looking at the Greek text and considering in this case, what Paul is saying to the Thessalonian church by way of his greeting there in chapter 1, verse 1. So we will kick off a new study this week, 1 Thessalonians. We're going to look at verse 1. And then next week, we will start looking at the prayer that Paul has for the Thessalonians, which will be chapter 1, verses 2 through 10. So we'll begin those verses then next week. Trust that you are having a great week and God has been blessing you and giving you the opportunity to bless others as a result. So as we look at 1 Thessalonians, Paul begins the letter very much like he does in other letters. He uses the opportunity here to not only describe who he is or who the author is, but who the recipient of the letter is, and then the typical greeting that follows. So let me translate, let me walk through this, and then we'll make note of a few things here. Paul and Silas and Timothy, to the church of the Thessalonians, in God the Father and the Lord Jesus Christ, grace to you and peace. Again, a couple of things we can make note of. First of all, you have Paul, Silas, and Timothy. There are your nominatives, your subjects, if you will, that are, in this case, they are the team of authors that are bringing this particular letter, again, to whom? So you have the te ecclesia, that would be a dative of recipient. They are obviously the receivers, the recipient of this particular letter. What's interesting, Paul makes it clear that it's not just to any assembly, but this word here, Thessalonikeon, that is a genitive. That's a genitive, likely a genitive of apposition. So here what happens is we have the term for Thessalonica, we have that term that is further clarifying who or what the assembly is. So I would label that genitive of apposition. Then you have en theo, patri, kai, curio, Jesu, Christo. So you have quite the prepositional phrase here. I would contend that the en here is obviously a dative. Remember, the terms that follow the preposition en, they are dative. They'll be in the dative case because the preposition en is only governed by the dative case. So you have several dative nouns here. You have theo, you have patri, you have curio, and then you have Christo. So those datives, I would suggest we could label this prepositional phrase here a dative of association. And what I mean by that is he is explaining that this ecclesia, also in the dative, is in union with or is in relationship to God the Father as well as the Lord Christ. Okay? And of course, the Jesu here is explaining basically who the Lord is, and it's the Lord Jesus. So that genitive there is further clarifying the curio. Then again, as is typical, you have grace to you and peace. That is Paul's greeting to the Thessalonians. Again, that is typical in Paul's letters. So I think that's how Paul's kicking off his letter. That's how he's beginning this 5-chapter letter to the church at Thessalonica. And we'll move forward with Paul's Thanksgiving section. probably looking at verses 2 and 3 next week. And yeah, hope you have a great week. We're looking forward to this time together. Opening up Paul's letters. I love Paul's letters because they have a structure to them. Not that other letters do not, but Paul's one of my favorites, how he structures the letter together and how he formulates his argument in a very systematic way so that we can pull it apart, we can analyze it, and then bring it back together and use the synthesis of our exegesis to best understand his authorial intention. Have a great week.